Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've got a lot of break updates today. So the first news is coming from Putin. So if you guys remember yesterday, and on yesterday's start of the video, we talked about how Putin orders the Russian army to grow by 180,000 soldiers to become 1.5 million strong. The order, which seeks to expand the Russian military to 1.5 million soldiers, was issued in a decree published on the Kremlin's official website on Monday. And really quickly, this just puts Russia as the second biggest army in the world, as in terms as active military personnel. So it has the second largest army in the world. So it is still behind China with 2 million, but it did overtake India and America. And we've got some more news about this. So the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov explained the increase in the size of the Russian army by citing the number of existing threats. He claimed that the situation on Russia's western borders is hostile and the eastern borders are unstable. So these 180,000 men have been called up to reinforce the border, it seems, according to Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman. So we can expect these soldiers to reinforce, I don't know, newly joined Finland nation, just reinforcing the Baltic front, I don't know. He also stated Eastern, so I don't know, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Azerbaijan, Georgia. So very interesting news. We've also got news that the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will hold a brief meeting with his North Korean counterpart on September the 17th. So we were talking about yesterday how North Korea is sending a representative to St. Petersburg, but before she arrives in St. Petersburg, she will be meeting with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. So we'll probably get to the full results of that meeting in tomorrow's video. We've also got news that Russia has conducted a space launch. So we can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see the launch here. So this rocket is apparently a light class Angara 1.2 rocket carrying military satellites, has been launched in this exact location here. This was stated by the Russian Defense Ministry on Tuesday, and we've also got video to support this. If you can see here in the bottom left corner, this is the rocket that was quote unquote carrying military satellites. So that's been a successful launch, and Russia adds another military satellite into space. Now, I don't usually talk about Ukrainian strikes on Russia too much, or any missile strikes in general, but this one was a bit different just because of the huge size of it. So the Ukrainian armed forces conducted a strike on the Tver region in Russia. As a result of this attack, an ammo depot was struck. So if we can just see here in the bottom left corner, we can see this huge ammunition storage depot that was destroyed, and it kind of looks like a nuclear bomb, just how big it was. So a huge explosion, probably deals Russia significant damage, I don't know, but I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got some sideline news, what I just decided to add in. A World War II bomb was found in Moscow's Region River, so divers from the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations recovered the unexploded device dating back to the Second World War after it was discovered in a river in Moscow. It was destroyed at a special training ground. So we can just see here they were carrying up this World War II bomb. So very interesting news. We've also got news that the Russian nuclear test sites are quote-unquote ready, commanders have said. So we can expect in the next, I don't know, months or maybe 48 hours, we'll get more news on this, but Russia conducting nuclear test sites. So this is, again, concerning, and this is just rumours right now, but I'll keep you updated on this. We've also got news that Russia and Ukraine have done a prisoner exchange. So there's been a total of 23 fighters, soldiers that were captured in the war in Ukraine that were exchanged at the border of Belarus. So 23 soldiers for 23. If we can see here in the bottom left corner, we've got some videos from the Ukrainian side. So it seems that these particular troops were from the Azov Brigade. So you can see here reuniting with loved ones. These were two brothers that haven't seen each other for about 2 years. But regarding the prison exchange, Ukraine has released these disturbing images. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, this is apparently one of the people who were exchanged, and he obviously puts out his iPhone and he shows what his what he looked like before being captured and now. So this image is basically suggesting that Russia treats Ukrainian prisoners of war very badly. So obviously, I don't know if this is true. I don't know, but I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got news coming from the government of Ukraine and the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. It will issue an order of banning the mobilization of persons under the age of 25. So people in Ukraine under the age of 25 won't be mobilized to go to the front. So, very interesting news. We've also got news coming from the US military aid packages. So, US military aid packages to Ukraine are being cut as the Pentagon's stockpiles shrink. According to CNN, aid has been cut to $125 to $400 million, down from $600 million to $800 million in the past. The Pentagon is concerned about the potential impact on its combat readiness as Ukraine's need grows amid the war. A Pentagon spokesman said that $6 billion is available for support, but more time is needed to spend it. So we've got some news come from CNN that the military aid packages, from the US to Ukraine are shortening, decreasing, due to America probably not having as much stuff as they used to. We've also got news coming from the Brazil president. He stated he refuses to take sides in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The Brazilian president insisted that Brazil cannot take sides in the war between Russia and Ukraine after Zelensky's insults to Brazil and China. So if you remember it was probably a week ago now, that we showed footage of Zelensky getting very mad because of the Chinese and Brazilian peace approach. But very interesting news. He has stated his position that he has no sides in this conflict, neither Ukraine or Russia. We've also got news that's coming from Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, that there are no risk-free options in war, said the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, addressing the removal of restrictions on Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory in an interview with the British radio network, LBC. He said that we have a full-scale war in Europe, started by Moscow. There are no risk-free choices in this conflict. However, I still believe the greatest risk would be a victory for Putin in Ukraine. So that was said by Stoltenberg. And that's all the news I actually have for Ukraine at the moment. We've also got some news coming from Lukashenko, the president of Belarus. He stated that the US is preparing to escalate the situation in Belarus. He emphasized that an attack on Belarus would mean the beginning of World War III. So, very concerning words coming from Belarus. We've also got some news, and again, more floods, more natural disasters in Western countries. But this time we've got some stuff coming from Slovakia. In the capital of Slovakia, the water level has risen to 9.6 meters in certain parts of the Slovakian river. So this exact river here. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, see these pictures of the rivers increasing level. So very concerning news. So in Slovakia's capital, the flooding in the river has likely reached its peak, with the water level hitting 9.6 meters. We've also got news coming from Poland that residents of Poland, and more specifically this exact city here, are preparing flood defenses with sandbags, as even heavier flooding is expected tonight. So Poland and Slovakia have been experiencing huge floods lately. We talked about this in the previous video. So if you want to keep up with the floods, I talked a little bit about it in the previous video. We've also got some news coming from the Dutch Defense Ministry. He said that the war in Ukraine will not end even next year. The head of the Dutch Defense Ministry, Ruben Brugsmusk, I think that's how you pronounce his name, is sure of this. He said that, "I don't think the war will end this year. I don't think it will end next year either." We've also got news coming from, I believe, the former Estonian Prime Minister. So Kaja Kallas, the former and the first woman's Prime Minister of Estonia, will assume the role of an EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policies on November the 1st, according to von der Leyen. So that's the head of the EU. We've also got news coming from the UN that the UN will visit the Ukrainian-controlled territory of Kursk Oblast only if Russia allows it. This is how the UN responded to Ukraine's call for humanitarian assistance in the Kursk region. So the UN will visit the Ukrainian-controlled territory only if Russia gives it permission. So now let's head to France. So we've got some interesting news coming from France, and more specifically coming from some inter-parties in France, in the French government. So in France, the left-wing bloc led by Jean-Luc Mélenchon, which won the elections, has introduced an initiative for impeaching Macron, which is the current French president. The proposal was supported by 81 members of the left-wing New Popular Front, so in short would be NPF alliance, including 72 lawmakers from the La France party, along with the support with the Greens and several other parliament members from the Left Democrats and Republicans groups. So there's been a big movement in the French government from the left-wing bloc trying to impeach Macron. Now let's just go to the Georgian Parliament. So we've got news that the Georgian Parliament approves a package of amendments banning the LGBT propaganda. So this is coming from the Georgian Parliament. So the Georgian Parliament is banning LGBT propaganda, they said. We've also got news coming from Josep Borrell, so the Vice President of the European Commission. He said, and he urges Georgia to repeal the law banning the LGBT propaganda, which will further deviate from the path to the EU. So he's kind of threatening that if you don't reverse this law banning LGBT in the country of Georgia, then you won't be in the EU. So I'll keep you updated on that. So now let's head to probably one of the biggest news today. So in the previous 24 hours, a number of encrypted pages devices, so if you can see here in the bottom left corner, these little devices that are used by Hezbollah to communicate a lot among themselves, has exploded by a cyber attack, apparently, according to Hezbollah. So to give some meaning to this, so first let's just talk about Pages, the device. So Pages is, if you can see here in the bottom left corner, is a small device. It's like a telecommunication device that receives and displays voice messages and one-way texts and sometimes two-way texts. So it's just a device that you can communicate with like groups. So there's been a huge operation that apparently the Israelis did. The Israelis apparently exploded a bunch of these devices. So 8 people were killed, 200 were injured, and a total of 2,800 were injured when nearly 5,000 pages exploded almost simultaneously in Lebanon and Syria because of the detonation of batteries in an Israeli cyber attack. So about 5,000 of these mini devices exploded, and sometimes in people's hands. So this was a huge operation that the Israelis did. The US said that it was not involved in this pages exploding in Lebanon and was not aware of the incident beforehand, according to the US Department spokesman. So there was a lot of people injured, including Tehran's ambassador to Lebanon. So the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon was also injured in this Pajaz attack. The Iranian state media stated. I can't actually show you any footage of this because it's really bad. There was cases where limbs were taken off because of these devices exploding from apparently a cyber attack. Now let's move to Israel. We've also got news that the Israeli military continues to equip the border with Lebanon. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see these armored vehicles. These were apparently are heading and are at the Lebanon border. So the border here. So I'll keep you updated on more deployments. We've also got news coming from Jordan that NATO plans an embassy-style office in Jordan. NATO will open an office in the Jordan capital in the coming months to communicate with countries in the region, according to special representatives of the alliance. So NATO is basically opening like an embassy-style office in Jordan. Now let's head to Africa really quickly. We've got news that South Sudan says that it is ready to start pumping oil through Sudan. South Sudan and Sudan have made progress towards restarting the pumping of South Sudan's crude oil through a pipeline running to a port in its neighbour. The exports are a crucial source of revenue for South Sudan, and Sudan takes a cut of the oil as a transit fee. The main pipeline carrying oil from South Sudan through Sudan for exports was halted in February because of damage stemming from a war between Sudan's army and the rapid support forces. So internal conflict in Sudan. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but we'll mention it again. So, US military says that it has completed Niger withdrawal. The US military said on Monday that it has completed its withdrawal from Niger. Now, let's head to Yemen. So, we've got news coming from Elon Musk. So, apparently, according to Elon Musk, Starlink is now available in Yemen. So, a lot of people have stated now the Houthis now are hooked up to Starlink, that now because of Elon Musk, Houthis will now have a better time striking ships because they have Starlink to help them. So Elon Musk released a map showcasing the coverage of Starlink over Yemen. So very interesting news, and I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got news. We talked about how Sergei Shoigu visited Iran. We talked about how he was landing in Iran in the previous video. Now we've got news that he has met up with Iranian officials. So you can see here in the bottom left corner. But again, like Shoigu's meetings, we still haven't gotten basically nothing about this meeting. So we've got news that they are deepening relations and expanding cooperation, but that's about it. So maybe at the time when this is published, we'll get more information about this visit. Now let's go to this Shanghai Typhoon. So we'll talk about this yesterday again, that Shanghai is experiencing a deadly typhoon. So apparently this is one of the biggest typhoons since 7 decades. So this has apparently forced about 414,000 people to be evacuated from parts of Shanghai. So Shanghai is experiencing a huge typhoon, and we can see here in the bottom left corner we've got some videos of this. So again, over 414,000 people have to be evacuated, and they have been evacuated. Now let's go to the DPRK, so North Korea. We've got some news coming from the Sea of Japan and the Japanese Defense Minister. The Japanese Defense Minister and the Japan's Coastal Guard has reported that North Korea launched another ballistic missile into the Sea of Japan. So some sources are stating it was 2 ballistic missiles, some are 1, but very interesting news. And that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-Scene News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.